Welcome back to part 2, restyling and repotting this beautiful larch. There is still quite a lot going on in this area here. So there's a lot of branches, and there's a couple in there at least that will need to come out, but I'm not going to do that now. I'm going to do some thinning out and a little bit of shaping there to allow some of the branches to grow on and take over a bit more space. For now, what I'm going to do is work on this branch and this branch. Go through, tidy them up a little bit, do a little bit of movement, a little bit of shaping. But basically, I'm quite happy with the overall shape, just a little bit of cleaning out. So to start with, I'm looking for any twigs that are growing in the wrong direction. For example, twigs which are growing straight up, twigs which are growing across the main branches, and twigs which are crisscrossing and touching each other, but also ones which are growing back towards the center of the tree. Basically, I want my branch structure to work its way out away from the trunk and towards the light on the outside. This will give it a much more simple appearance that flows away from the trunk. This particular twig has a lovely little curve to it, but unfortunately it's in the wrong place. With that one gone, these two twigs now work together really well. With all of the crossing twigs removed now, you can see the lovely shape of this branch. The lovely start to this branch comes down here, and then got a lovely split, lovely shape coming down there. So still a little bit more tweaking, might put a little bit of wire on later and just sort of space those out a little bit, but generally I think it's really lovely. This one can come out a little bit, so might bring in and get a little bit of space between this one and this one. Generally though, that's lovely, and that's just going to keep on getting better and come out a bit more down here. So you can see the kind of thing that I work towards is keeping this bit here, keeping this bit nice and clutter free, the main branches, keeping them nice and clutter free, and the twigs coming out around here. And I always kind of think that it's a bit like the branch is a bit like an arm. So here's the main branch, and here's all the sub branches, and then the twigs grow around that. So it's all uncluttered. The other thing I really love about the larch is that not only is it easy to prune to shape, it's actually very easy to wire to shape as well. A lot of my deciduous bonsai, such as the maples, oaks and beech, birch, trees like that, I don't tend to wire to shape. The bark on those sorts of trees is quite easily damaged and is prone to wire scarring. So we only prune those trees to shape. Whereas the larch has got this fantastic, really craggy, and it's quite spongy bark. And it's quite flexible as well. Even when the branches are quite old, it's still quite flexible. So it takes to wiring really well. And even if I was to damage it slightly by putting the wire on, scratch it or slightly damage it like that, then because of the texture of the bark, a little bit of scarring as it heals up will just disappear and actually add to the feature. Obviously I always avoid that horrible twisty wire scarring on a tree. Make sure I take the wire off before it gets damaged. But generally you can prune these trees to shape, the larch, and wire them as well. So done these two. Now I'm just going to carry on working my way up. The next branch, and 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 the next, and the next, and the next, and the next, and the next. This branch here is a really good example of a branch which at the moment doesn't look that pleasing. There's a lot going on here, but if we can just look beyond, there's a nice start, but I love this curve coming all the way down here. So it's a really good example of not being able to see a really nice branch. A nice structure in there, there's a nice branch coming off to the side, a really nice split. So there's a nice shape going on in there. So I'm going to prune that out and hopefully you'll see that shape evolve. So hopefully now you can see what's going on in there. And as the new shoots start to come out from here and regrow, we can build up a nicer twig structure that really helps to show off this lovely branch. With all the main sort of bottom and middle part, with all those branches there, thinned out, decluttered. Now I know it looks a lot more sort of sparse and a lot more space in here. But what you've got to do is just think back to basics. The trunk now is very clear, all the way up, trimmed off a little bit here, so we've still got this branch coming out to fill out some of the foreground, but the trunk is very clear now. The main branches are very easy to see, so as I'm looking at them here, some beautiful shapes, and I will go through and do some close-ups and show you those shapes. So that's all looking really lovely. So yes, we've lost a lot of this. So up here I haven't pruned and it's still very twiggy and it looks very full and it looks lovely, but we've lost the structure in there. So we're going to get that back in a minute. But down here, it's beautiful. I love the shapes of all these branches, and we found them all again. And then throughout this coming growing season, lots of new shoots will start to come out and start to fill out these spaces. And we've got to make sure, or I've got to make sure, that I don't allow them to clutter up again, and make sure that they're growing in the right direction. And gradually we'll fill up these beautiful pads, but we will still be able to see these beautiful shapes of these branches and these twigs coming down here. Some really lovely shapes. All we need to do now is to carry on and get the top thinned out, decluttered. Magic.
Bags are packed, are you ready to go? This time tomorrow we'll be on the road, riding with you in the sunnier days. I wouldn't want it any other way. whatever that may be.
As always, there's still a lot more work to do. Years and years and years, in fact. And that I just love. I look forward to that. For now, I think we've done, although I can still see that there is a lot more twigs in there that are crisscrossing. Generally, I think they're pretty good. There's a few little lumps and old stumps which I still need to go in and clean out so that we've got nice, clean, flowing lines in there. But for now, that's good. That kind of wraps up part 2 of this video. Part 3 will be coming out next, and that's where we deal with the roots, any odd shaped roots, lumps and bumps we've got going on down here, teasing out and root pruning and putting back in the pot. So don't miss that. Hit the subscribe button and do all the things that you need to do to make sure you don't miss out. And for now, I'm going to enjoy my tea and looking at this beautiful bonsai. Take care.